Hey there folks, this is GreenXI, welcoming right back to Let's Play Higurashi. This is episode 46. In the last episode, we went to encounter Mion at her house to try and take her to the police and everything. But we ended up going down into the torture chamber with her, thinking she was, she was nice and innocent all over again for some bloody reason, and she was going to turn herself in, but she didn't, and we found out that Shion was down here imprisoned, so she's still alive, so that's good. But the thing is that Keiichi has been put up onto a nail torture device now with no way of escape, it seems like, so looks like he's just woke up. Oh yeah, I just want to say before we get started, apologies for leaving it in a weird place at the end of the last one. It's just because, well, it reached an hour and a half and I thought that was just getting too much. If I could go back, I would have cut it off at the achievement point, but I don't know. It's blind, I don't know how long each chapter is going to be and everything, so I just carried on a bit. Anyway, let's get going. Awake at last, are we? I lied before you, about having wanted to give Shion the most miserable death of all, but locking her up because I hadn't thought of a good way yet. That was a lie. Mion brought over something like a toolbox. From inside it she removed a large metal hammer, and next to that she began to line up what looked like long, strangely shaped nails, whose ends had been turned into hooks like the kind you'd see on a harpoon. I let her hear the screams of all those people that died before her, and after they've soaked it into her very soul, then I'll kill her. Oh, mean. I've got pretty good taste, huh? Who are you? Huh? I'm Mion. Mion Sanozaki. Has the fear driven you crazy? No, you're not. There's no way you can be Mion. He won't believe us, will he? Mion snorted and continued her preparations for the horrifying torture. I see. Then if I'm not Mion, who am I? A demon. Oh? Huh? You're not Mion. Mion was just here. Give her back. Kai-chan, is your brain really doing okay? You're not going crazy with fear, are you? Don't touch me. You damn demon. Give her back. Give Mion back. My best friend, give Mion back. Mion stood there for a few moments with her jaw hanging open, not having expected me to say that. I myself knew that I was about to go insane. I knew it was nonsense to demand Mion's return when she was right in front of me, but this person in front of me couldn't possibly have been Mion. There was no way I could accept that. So, this is what I thought. Mion really had been possessed by a demon and was controlling Mion as if it were a separate personality. Mion was just a victim being manipulated by it. The evil one was really this thing. It all had to be the doing of this demon possessing her. Oh, she's off. When Mion heard that, she started to guffaw, laughing so hysterically that she started to cough and almost choked. You really are a piece of work, you know that? In this very moment, Mion Sanozaki is trying to kill you, and you're trying to reject me? I never knew there was such a funny person in all the world. If you want to laugh, do it all you want. No matter what you say though, I won't accept that you're Mion. Give it back. Away with you, demon. He's gonna exercise her now, is he? Kai-chan, you trying to kill me by drowning me in my own tears? No matter what, I wouldn't lose to that laughter of hers. I shouted loudly. I shouted from the bottom of my heart, so that the real Mion, trapped inside the Mion I saw in front of me, would be able to hear. You can do it, Mion. Don't lose to this piece of shit demon. You're strong. Show me how strong you are. Oh, God. She's not accepting, has she? The tears welled up and flooded down her face. Her hands were busy with the restraints, so she couldn't even wipe them, she just let them flow. Please, Mion. Mion, where did you lose to a demon like this? You're not that weak, are you? Don't lose. Fight. Fight. Mion, desperately enduring her laughter, pressed one of the long nails to the tip of my left pinky. Oh God, here we go. In her left hand was the hammer. At her side were dozens more nails. I could tell what she was about to do, though I wish I couldn't. Even so, I couldn't afford to be scared. That was why I shouted. My sides hurt like they're about to split. Is that all? I'm gonna get started now. Be sure to give her some good screams. Not only am I torturing you, Kai-chan, but I'm torturing Shion as well. Oh. Why? Why? Would you? Mion. Then I wept. Only sobs came out. They weren't in acceptance of the torture about to be performed, however. They were tears of regret that Mion had lost to the demon. Yet a small change did occur in the Mion in front of me. Her heightened excitement was draining, little by little. By the time I had realised it, the one in front of me had returned to being Mion. Oh, that was lucky. Kei-chan, this may not be something pleasant to take to the grave with you. You really seem to want to know though, so I'll tell you just one thing. I didn't know if this was Mion, or just a display of momentary humanity the demon had recovered. A long time before the demon came to live inside me, it was gnawing at my heart, trying to spur me to violence, but I suppressed it with my reason. That settled the demon down, and I got to thinking it had gone away somewhere. As it turned out, I was wrong. It hadn't left me, it had just gone to sleep. I noticed that there were tears forming in her eyes. The demon woke up again due to a certain small opportunity. What do you think that opportunity was? There was a sad and yet reproachful light in Mion's eyes. Do you understand? I don't. I don't know what gave the demon the chance to beat Mion. This might be strange for me, a demon, to say, but you're the reason that everything got so messed up. Oh god. The tears welling up in her eyes spilled downward all of a sudden. At the time, if you had given me that doll you got without hesitating, maybe everything wouldn't have gone so twisted. Ah, the one you gave to Ravenna. The doll I got. That doll that I got when we had our club meeting at the toy store that Sunday. You probably can't understand. I wouldn't expect you to. But you see, all sorts of things started falling over like dominoes after that, and soon it was too much for me to control. It only makes sense that you wouldn't be aware of knocking over the first one, since it was so small, but the other one who set it up. That can't... me? If it had made Mion cry, then I wouldn't have had to wake up. Is that enough? For you to die in peace? A mistake that I'd made on that day was what messed everything up. That can't be... can it? It only makes sense that you won't be aware of it. Even so, Kei-chan, you are without a doubt the cause. If you had nonchalantly given me the doll that day, then I don't think this would have happened. I wanted to say, like I just remembered something as I recalled that day. Ravenna had told me about that, and I thought I'd apologised. I didn't apologise to Mion though. It had been Shion. In other words, oh god, I hadn't said a single word of apology to Mion. Today I came to this house, saying that I had something to apologise for, but I never said a word of apology about this. Come to think of it, when I apologised for going into the ritual storehouse, Mion looked a little bit lonely, like she was disappointed. Why didn't I realise that until just now? Ravenna told me at the time, and now she, herself, no, the demon was telling me. It's the only way for a dense idiot like me to be cured, to die altogether. Ugh. I could no longer hold back the hot tears from pouring out of me. I simply just cried and cried, and reflected indifferently on the taste of my tears and the taste of regret. Can I start now then? This method of torture is very simple. I'll nail one of these into the joint on the end of your left pinky finger. Ugh. Then I'll nail each one in order until I get to your thumb, and then I'll go back to your pinky and nail one into the joint in the middle. So on and so on, until I hammer 50 nails into your left hand. Ooh, okay. When that's over with, I'll do your right hand next. After that, if you're still conscious, I'll tell you. There are a lot of nerves bundled in your fingertips, so it hurts far more than you could imagine. Some people apparently pass out before you finish hammering the 30 nails into their hands, so... Mion pressed the tip of a nail to my left pinky finger. My wrists, my arms, and all the joints of my fingers were strapped in so tightly it hurt, and I couldn't even twitch. I didn't hesitate at all when I was torturing the others. Why do I hesitate now? If this will satisfy a demon, Mion, if it will sate the demon, then do to me what you will. You serious? Compared to how much I hurt Mion, this is nothing, right? Do as much as you want. In exchange, promise me 2 things. Mion was silent. She did, however, wait for me to speak. After you're satisfied with causing me pain, forgive Shion. She's been punished enough to make up for her crime of sneaking into the storehouse, hasn't she? You... After all this, you can still worry about Shion more than yourself? The other thing is that when you've had your fill, you disappear. Give that body back to Mion. That's all. You know, are you not even considering possibly begging for your life or anything? Can I ask you to promise 3 things instead of 2? The third is to leave me alive. Clever. You said 2 in the beginning, didn't you? So you can't have any more. That's a shame. In such an abnormal situation, Mion and I laughed quietly together, as if sharing in a stupid joke. I probably won't keep these promises, understand? I'm a demon, after all. I guess there's nothing I can do then. I recall tightening my hands into fists when enduring the pain at the dentist's office. You know, this is pretty much exactly like the anime. They haven't changed much from the game. Right now, though, they were opened all the way to my fingertips, so I couldn't even grip them. So instead, I tightened my toes. Okay. Okay, do it. I prepared myself already, so do it. You waiting like this to hammer the nails in is scarier. It's going to diminish my readiness after all. Mion put down the hammer and gently stroked my cheek. Oh, she... Ah. Kei-chan, I'll agree to just the third thing, okay? Huh? My third wish. To save me. She'll agree to it? Your first wish? To save Shion? That's long done for. The demon will kill her. It's already been decided, so I can't stop it. So give up on that. Her delicate fingers slid from my cheek to my chin. As for your second wish, to give this body back to Mion, that won't happen either. After today, Mion will never come back. From today on, even if my body is here, it will be just a body. Because the Oni has taken it over. That isn't true. Mion is Mion. Don't say such sad things, like that she won't ever come back. Can you hear it? That sound? Mion gently closed her eyes and listened. I definitely heard it as well. Slam. Oh, it was a dull noise that repeated at fixed intervals. A low noise accompanied by vibrations. A lot of people were ramming their indoors to this underground ritual storehouse. Oh, the police are coming, aren't they? You're late, so Renner probably called Keiichi. That spaced out girl being so quick thinking was the one thing I didn't anticipate. I'll agree with you there. Mion grinned like she'd been outwitted, then took something that looked like an electric razor out of her pocket. When she pressed the switch, pale blue sparks flew out with a snapping noise. You've probably never seen one before, right? It's a taser. Yeah, it's a stun gun. It's illegal, and its output has been increased quite a bit. Was that what you hit me with before? That's not a toy children should be playing with, you know. You're right. I've never heard anyone laugh like that. She seemed to want to use the stun gun on me, but then I've never met an insane person like that. Unable to move, I felt her press the cool lump of metal to my neck. Slam. I heard a roar, as though they'd broken down the first large door. The halls were a bit complex, but aside from the door to this very torture chamber, there was nothing in their way. I won't kill you, but I will have you go to sleep for a bit, Kei-chan. Ushi will be here soon. This will only hurt a bit. Yay, Keiichi's gonna live. Feeling the same shock as before. Gritting my teeth wasn't gonna help much, but I clenched them tightly anyway. However, just as she did, when she was about to hammer the nails in, she hesitated a little. I cracked open my tightly closed eyelids. Cracked them open. Ooh. I'm sorry. For disgracing Mion. I made a promise before coming in here. Whatever happens, the Mion inside my heart won't change. Look, forget about that. If you ever see me after today, don't come near me. By then, it will be the demon that inherited my corpse. What are you talking about? Just as I tried to say that, a much stronger light than before shined, and like a television being switched off, my consciousness went black. Oh ho ho. I think it was a little bit of the real Mion sneaking in. Ooh, Twisted Sisters. Nice. Here we go then. Looks like that's finished. The anime had a bit more, but oh shit, it's speeding on its own. The suspect is Mion Sonozaki. She is suspected to have kidnapped 5 Hinamizawa residents between June 19th and June 21st. Oyu Sonozaki, Shion Sonozaki, Keiichi, Kimiyoshi, Rika, Satoko, and someone else. Preliminary investigations on the incident were delayed at the time due to insufficient evidence, but it was resolved coincidentally and shockingly. It's automatically going. It's fast. On Monday the 23rd, a vehicle patrolling the Sonozaki property heard screams from inside and rushed in as an emergency measure. They secured the suspect's missing younger sister, Shion, and her 2 missing classmates, Keiichi and Renner. The suspect fled the scene, so those 3 lived through. Well, 4, really. Including Mion. Deep in the detached basement on the Sonozaki property, which is believed to have been used to kill those who disappeared, we discovered hair, flakes of skin, blood of the 4 missing persons, Oyu, Kimiyoshi, Rika, Satoko. We concluded that the missing persons were tortured in the torture chamber. However, their remains have still not been found. This is way too fast. At one of our imprisoned classmates' advice, we continued searching the detached basement of the Sonozaki property, which is where they were imprisoned, believing that they were there. However, we still have not located them or the suspect's escape route. In addition, investigations are continuing as to her participation in the serial freak death incidents of recent years, thinking it would give some clue, but no evidence that Mion Sonzaki was involved, either directly or indirectly, has been found, but we know that she was involved somehow. There's still many unclear points as to the motive behind the incident, and as those of the Sonzaki family and the residents of Hinamazawa have been extremely uncooperative in assisting us, we expect to require a long time to clarify them. Oh my god! The opinion of a local officer knowledgeable about the region is that this may have been a lynching, an internal form of punishment sacrilegious acts carried out against the beliefs of Hinamazawa village. It's clear that these incidents are particularly rooted in the region, and the prefectural police department has ordered a cautious investigation. We anticipated gaining valuable clues from the missing person believed to have been imprisoned for the longest time, Shion, the suspect's younger sister, but her mind was stricken by the grave after effects of the incident, and she has not been in a state of mind to properly answer my questions about what she knows. The psychiatrist concluded that she is in a temporary state of shock, but it doesn't seem hopeful that she will recover today either. Oh, poor Shion. Poor everyone. Only a few days passed since that time. Oh good, it ain't automatic anymore. Bloody hell. If it's like the anime, then there's still some more to come. I wouldn't switch off yet. After that, I was rescued by Ushi-san and the subordinates, whom Renner had called in. Aside from my entirely blank state of mind, I had no external injuries. The most I had was a small burn mark from where the stun gun hit me. As I was having a checkup in the hospital, Ushi-san asked me all sorts of things, but I don't really remember what he asked, or how I answered him. From what I heard, surprisingly, Mion still hadn't been captured. There were apparently a great many hallways and smaller rooms extending out from the depths of the prison. It wouldn't be strange if she had fled to one of those and hidden herself. The one fortunate aspect amidst all the misfortune was that Shion had been safely secured by the police. When I last saw Mion, she seemed like she was going to take me with her and then kill me. She probably didn't have enough time to, though, since Ushi-san came running in faster than she predicted. That was the only really fortunate thing to have happened. So, to think of it positively, at least the only people of the club to die were Rika and Satoko. You know, I say positively, but it could have been more, you know. Tomitaki and Takano also died, and the mayor, I'm pretty sure the anime showed the mayor being killed as well. I didn't notice if he died in this. I think he did. It went a bit fast for me to even consider what he was saying. I had to talk it. Say it, you know. Of course, the rescued Shion, despite having no external wounds, now had a big deep wound in her heart. Her own sister. She was in a severe state of confusion when they rescued her, and apparently she bit the police officers trying to resist. From what he heard, she was seeing Mion in everyone she saw. Hated not only the hospital, but even her own home, and had shut herself up somewhere in Shishibone, hiding her location. Additionally, in fear that Mion would come for her, she was moving from place to place every day, and even her parents weren't sure where she actually was. Same as before, really. Wherever she was living, even now, Shion was spending her days in fear of Mion's shadow. That's sad. The police were investigating the Sonzaki's underground storehouse at this moment. Since they couldn't find the remains of the other sacrifices, hadn't Mion thrown the corpses into a well? I had a feeling I'd said that to him. That meant a hidden tunnel, vertical like a well, was somewhere in those underground passages. The secret underground, without any maps or architectural drawings, which had swallowed up the remains of Rika-chan, Satoko, and everyone else, was still unwilling to speak the truth. I was brought back to that basement again, too, for an on-the-site inspection of something, but I didn't remember being of any help. I never wanted to go back there again. Well, I think that's fair enough. For days afterward, the Sonozakis living in Okinamaya, in other words, Mion and Shion's parents, the big-name Yakuza, would come to our house to apologize, bringing many of their followers with them. However much my parents refused it, they piled up many 100,000 yen bills, calling it consolation money, every day. Wow. When the Yakuza does something like that for you. The amount of money grew each day, and after it had passed 2 million yen, they were then given an envelope containing a letter. I don't know what was written in the letter. My parents talked about it by themselves for 2 whole nights, and decided to move away. Oh. Everyone's leaving then. Only Renner's left in Hinamazawa. I see. You're moving, huh? When? At the end of next month. This is the saddest moment when somebody's moving. Like, I moved from an area to a pretty local area, but when you're a kid it seems like a million miles away, doesn't it? But I didn't have many friends when I was little. It's only when I moved over to this new area where I started making proper friends and stuff like that. So I didn't have that, but I did have people move away from me. Like, my best mate moved away from me when we were in comp, or just finishing comp, or something like that. And that was one of the saddest times, I think. At the end of next month, I won't even have been in Hinamazawa for half a year. I'll be lonely. I'm the only one left. Rena smiled sadly. If I had just said yeah, I thought it would make her even more lonely, so I changed the subject. Here's something to think about. That's how I broached it. Mion hadn't actually fled, but had been demoned away in the truest sense of the term. Where she went after she disappeared, that we didn't know. What was there where she had disappeared to? I hoped there was a hobby shop dealing in imports, the kind Mion liked. In that place, she would definitely be free from the burdensome fetters of her family, and live not as Mion Sonozaki, but as just Mion, and enjoy herself. Maybe she's already met up with Satoko and Rika-chan. They must also have been waiting for the day Rena and I would join them, spending all their time doing club activities as lively as they always were. When I told Rena that, she smiled and nodded to me. My dad believed something like that, where dead people, they're watching over you, kind of, and they're waiting for you to go up with them, and then you spend all your time together again. The incidents the Sonozaki family had been trying so hard to hide too were exposed to the magazines from this single tiny seam. The serial incidents of recent years were all pulled up like a long vine in the ground, one by one, and for many days news of it was brought up on talk and variety shows. The shows, which were comedic and silly, never once tried to touch upon the grim, heavy history that Mion had been bearing. It made me mad to see them bringing this stuff up in jest, but there was nothing I could do about it now. How big an impression would these short few weeks I spent in Hinamazawa have on my life? During these few weeks, I met my best friends and had the best experiences of my life. I would probably never forget it for as long as I lived. No, I mean, that's a pretty big thing to forget. As for the distorted image of Mion that the Mion media created, after the masses got tired of treating her like a plaything, they would ball her up, throw her in the trash, and then she would fade from their memories. As one of the few people who knew the real Mion, I must always make sure I remember her. Beyond any doubt, that will surely become my offering to her. The sky reached so far up, and towering... oh my god. Come along... Onimbus clouds floated through it. What the hell, I've never seen that word before. The real summer was just before our eyes. Even now, whenever 10 PM came around, I would expect a phone call from Shion, or Mion rather. Now that everything was over, of course, she would never call me. But it was precisely because she wouldn't call me that I was scared of who would call me this time. Plus, Mion still hadn't been caught. I couldn't say for sure that everything was completely over. On the other side of that fear, though, were my prayers that Mion was safe. When I thought like that, I was able to sleep, even with such terrifying thoughts. The lights were off. Before, her attacking when the lights were off was something that scared me. However, that feeling changed to regret within 2 days. The moonlight filtering through the gap in the curtains shone onto the desk and illuminated a doll. That's right, it's the doll, is it? The doll. That I should have given to me on that day. She said it was an import from England or something, and was all the rage, didn't she? From what Shion said, the most popular among them were the ones wearing the fluffy dress. After being released from the incident, the first place I went to was that toy store. Everything was apparently sold out besides the things on the storefront displays. I was refused once when they said they wouldn't sell the display products, but when they realised I was Survivor A from that incident, they immediately consented. Of course, even if I bought it, I might never have the chance to give it to her again. Even though in that, I waited for the opportunity to give it to her. I waited like this for the opportunity, with it on the desk so I could give it to her at any time. Plonk. There was a weird noise. It was a noise I wasn't used to hearing. It was too big to be raindrops, and it was completely different from the sound lost bugs make when they ram into fluorescent lights. I figured I must have misheard and nestled back into my futon. Plonk. The noise happened again. I wasn't hearing things. I definitely heard it. Where was it coming from? I got up and turned on the light. If there was a second, there would be a third. From where, though? I listened carefully. Plonk. The window. Some sort of pebbles were colliding with my window. When I realised they weren't being blown there by the wind, but rather being thrown by a person, I gave a start. I looked at the clock. It was 2 AM. Who would it be at a time like this? I quietly peek out front, through the gap in the curtains. In the light at the gate, despite it being so late, I saw someone. They picked up a piece of gravel and threw it at this window. It hit the window and made a plonking noise. Who was it? Ah! I caught my breath in surprise. If my eyes weren't deceiving me, that person was... Mion. Dun dun dun. I threw open the window and looked at the figure again. My eyes certainly weren't deceiving me. It was Mion. It was Mion. She was alive. Mion pressed her index finger to her lips and made a shh motion so I wouldn't shout. If she hadn't, well, I was nearly about to cry out. Mion was in a very delicate position right now. Even if it was the middle of the night, I shouldn't call out her name. I waved to her, gesturing that I'd be right over, flung on my coat atop my pyjamas and flew out the door. I quickly hit the brakes just before going down the stairs. Although happiness was sprouting within me, I had the sad feeling that this would be our final parting. So I went back to my room again and grabbed the doll. If there was a God, I don't think I would have ever thanked him as much as today. Even if it would be the last time we ever saw each other, I was so grateful for this one chance to give it to her. I slipped into my sandals, unlocked the door, unhooked the chain, and leapt out of the house. Ha! Ha! Mion. It's been a while. How are you? Been doing alright? It was like how we used to meet every morning. Mion waved to me and responded like she always did. It was doubtlessly Mion. It was the real Mion. Are you... alright, hanging around this place? I really shouldn't be. She certainly wasn't acting like she knew the police were following her. It was almost like she was a patient who had gotten tired of staying in the hospital and had snuck out. Her speech was relaxed enough to make me think that, and I couldn't help but be surprised. That relaxation, I thought, was more like Mion, and I was happy for it. Anyway, what's wrong? What do you need at this hour? I wanted to talk to you one last time. That was when I noticed them. On Mion's forehead were big droplets of sweat. Her expression too, which I had thought to be a satisfied smile, was upon closer inspection trembling slightly, and I realised that she was forcing it. Well, I can't stay for any longer. A pained note was beginning to enter her words as well, as if just smiling was a feat for her. Are you alright? Are you not feeling well? I tried so hard until now. But I can tell. I'm done. This is my limit. They're about to come up behind me to take me away. Mion's smile crumbled and started to stiffen. I don't think she's talking about the police, by the way. I think it's the demons. Did she push herself this much to come all the way for me? Her laughter cut off and changed into rough breathing. I reached out to rub her back, but she knocked me away. Are you okay? Don't force yourself. Oh, that's right. I had something to give you, Mion. This doll. I'd wanted to do this one last thing, because I knew how little time you had left. But this last thing, it... Ooh. Amazing music by you. So much atmosphere is added just because of this little bit of music. My stomach is burning. Mion took a meat cleaver-like knife and stabbed me, and pushed it in tight and took it and twisted it. Mion? Hey, what? What? It hurts. Ah, see? She wasn't done yet. I made it. I made it. I cowered on the ground. My stomach was so hot it was almost spewing fire. Mion watched it, then took a few steps back and cackled. I've done it all. That's everyone I wanted to kill. The last words Mion left me with that day came back to me. After today, Mion will never come back. From today on, even if my body is here, a body is all it will be. By then, a demon will have taken it over. The demon. The demon. She did warn him not to go near her after that day. But he did. Me on. This can't. I thought we had finally been able to meet. This can't. Mion. In a pool of blood of my own design is the doll I bought for Mion. Dyed. In red. So red. Mion. The good fortune of having been allowed to meet Mion once more, and the misfortune of that meeting being torn apart before my eyes. Should I be grateful or curse it? My emotions were neither of those, as my consciousness sunk deep into a black swamp. The doll I bought for Mion, the blood, had ruined it. No matter how I scrubbed and scrubbed, it had needlessly been ruined. Ruined. The sad moon was so white. It looked frozen. June the 28th, 1958. This is going to go quick again. A violent incident occurred in Hinamazawa Village, Shion City, Prefecture. The victim was Keiichi Maibara, also a victim of the previous string of disappearances. At around 2 AM, he was stabbed in the stomach with a bladed object by a suspect of the last case, Mion, and was gravely wounded. He was discovered when his parents woke up and was then transported to the clinic. He escaped death. He's still alive! The criminal fled the scene. On the same day, at approximately the same time, a fall accident occurred in the Kamishiki apartment complex in Shion City. The victim was Shion Sonozaki, also a victim of the previous string of disappearances, so Shion died after and all. Later on the same night, neighbours overheard her having a big fight with someone and informed the manager. Keiichi didn't, but... The manager used a master key to enter the room and discovered that the victim had fallen from her 8th floor balcony to her death. The room had been torn apart and appeared to show traces of a fight. One neighbour has frequently visited the Sonozaki house for a long time and testified that he heard what sounded just like the two sisters having a fight, trading insults back and forth. We believe this was related to the injury case that occurred the same day in Hinamazawa Village, perpetrated by the said incident suspect, and did a thorough search of the room, but we could not find any traces that would imply that anyone but the victim was present. The victim fell straight down into the foliage of a parking strip. Her neck broke and she died immediately. Her clothing was dishevelled and had markings that would imply a scuffle. We also believe, however, that it could have been an insanity-induced suicide attempt based on the particular mental state of the victim after the incident. We're conducting a thorough examination on both fronts, suicide and homicide. And that's it, is it? If that is the end, I want to say something about that ending that's different from the anime. Oh, that's more. Okay, I'll tell you after if it isn't. Oh, here we go, it's in the hospital. Only for 5 minutes, understand? Please try not to excite him. Yes, I'll be careful. Clack. The door opened, and as I expected, Uishi-san came in. Hello, Maibara-san. It's been a while, hasn't it? Tell me, how have you been since then? The doctor says my post-operative recovery seems to be going smoothly, but I think I got worse when I saw your face. Post-operative, You wound me. As Uishi-san gave a laugh that smelled of sweat, he handed Mom a bag of assorted candies he must have purchased from the souvenir corner on the first floor of the hospital. Excuse me, Mrs. Maibara. Would it be possible for me to talk to Keiichi for just a few moments? Mom clearly wasn't pleased at the thought of a police officer talking to her son without her there. However, I insisted. Mom, sorry, just a little while. Just 5 minutes, okay? Though grudgingly, Mom left the room. When she closed the door, Uishi-san grinned widely and looked around the room. A room to yourself? How high class. My old lady always gets a shared room, you know. It's quite lively, however. Seems like you're a higher rank if you have a worse disease in places like that. The sicker you are, the prouder you are, or maybe the more arrogant. Uishi-san, we only have 5 minutes. I would like it if these were the last 5 minutes we ever saw each other. I don't have any connection to Hinamazawa anymore, and this isn't in Hinamazawa anymore either. Yes, because there aren't any general hospitals in Okanamaya. Mind if I take a seat? Down we go. This was a large university hospital in Shion City. It was splendidly urban, entirely different from the likes of Hinamazawa and Okanamaya. This really reminds me of Balam Infirmary in Final Fantasy VIII, for some reason. It was hard to believe Hinamazawa was part of the same city. When's it look like you'll get transferred? I don't know. I'm ready to go whenever though. Our moving plans were delayed a little because of my serious injury. My parents had already left the house in Hinamazawa though, and were living in our new one. They planned to have me transfer hospitals to be closer to the new house once I'd recovered enough to be taken there. Please don't come to where I'm transferring. I really will get worse then. Man, you really do hate me. It may just be my job, but that stings. That's why I brought you all kinds of lovely souvenirs in atonement. You don't need to bring an assortment of cookies for that. Well, you see, there aren't actually cookies in there. Look. Ushi-san pulls open the can of cookies and... Ow, ow, I'm stretching my scar. I didn't know what you were into, my Bao-san, so I bought all sorts of things. See, all sorts of cute-looking ones from westerns to comic strips. Lately, they have this sort of H manga aimed at girls, too. Don't bring porn in here. Take them away and go home. What a git. I thought for sure a healthy young person like you would be feeling a little needy, being cooped up in a place like this for so long. If you stay here too long, the only fetish you'll end up with is a nurse one, you know. Well, he's not going to do anything in a bloody hospital, is he? Surrounded by people, even if it is a private room. There are plenty of other beautiful things in this world besides nurses, after all. Don't decide what to major in now. Keep your options open. You need to be a more all-round type of person. I gave Urushi-san's vulgar laughter a pained grin. Somehow or other, I understood. The fact that Urushi-san was bringing it up like this meant that he must have had something important to talk about. The incident with Shion-san really was unfortunate. The night I was stabbed by Mion, Shion fell from a balcony and died. In the anime, it shows Shion sort of climbing out of her room, and she'd slip as she's trying to climb down. I can't remember why she's climbing out of her room though, which, a bit of a pain, but... They said the police were investigating all possibilities, accident, suicide, homicide, but it could only have been Mion's doing. Mion found out where Shion was hiding, and pushed her down to her death. Nothing else was conceivable. It couldn't have been an accident. It was Mion. It had to be. The criminology guys are saying it had to be a suicide, but I'm of the same opinion as you, my Bao-san. She pushed Shion-san and also stabbed you, in one night. Has Mion still not been found? Oh, that's right. That's what I came here to tell you today. Yes, we actually did find her. What? Learning that felt rather strange to me. I was partly relieved that the incident was truly over, and I was partly sorry that my best friend had finally been caught. I felt many other things too. My heart was a maze of emotions. That's not all. In the Sonozaki house catacombs, we found a hidden well. That was the well she was talking about then. Just as you said, my Bao-san, we found the remains of all those who disappeared at the bottom. I see. That sliver of hope, that possibility I'd believed in, that Riki-chan and Sadako were alive, just from the fact their remains hadn't been found, gone. It was incredibly well hidden in those catacombs. I mean, it was in the blind spot of another blind spot. It was a vertical tunnel dug out like a well. There was a ladder set up there, and when we went all the way down, there was another tunnel built there going through it. When we followed it a few hundred meters, we found ourselves at the mouth of an old, unused well in the mountains. I wonder if it was a secret escape route a previous Sonozaki family leader built. Probably was. Maybe it was made in the Meiji era. Still, I'm impressed they built something like that. So everyone's remains were at the bottom? Yes. Even deeper down than the escape path, there was a pool of coal tar. They had been casually thrown into there. They had fallen from a fairly high spot, so their remains were totally buried in. It took a lot of time and effort to pull up their bodies. Did you find them all? I hoped that they at least wouldn't find Riki-chan or Sadako. That's what I wished for when I asked, but my shallow hope was crushed in the blink of an eye. Yes. All of them. In fact, we also found human bones we think are over a decade old. We think there are at least 3 people. I suppose it's the dark side of Hinamizawa's history. I wonder how many people's bones we'll find when we've sucked out all the mud. Ugh, it's a scary thought. That weight had been pushing down on Mion's shoulders the whole time. Mion. We've currently identified people who disappeared from Shishibone City decades ago. People are talking about how this opportunity might let us resolve the disappearing persons cases that have been abandoned. After a deep silence, he breathed a heavy sigh. Ushi-san went for cigarettes to pass the time, but realised this was a non-smoking area, so he gave up and put them back in his shirt pocket. Oh, right. It's a bit of a detour. But you know Rika Fuda-san, right? Of course. She's my friend. Did she ever tell you anything along the lines of her regularly taking insulin injections for diabetes? Really? She had diabetes? I can't remember that. Rika-chan has diabetes? I didn't know what he was talking about. Actually, we found it in her skirt pocket. A syringe. It was destroyed though, so we couldn't identify the medicine. It was a bit out of place, so I got interested. You really don't know anything? I didn't know anything about Rika-chan carrying syringes around with her. The Sonozaki family corporates. The Yakuza people. Anyway, there's rumours that they deal in psychostimulants. I was thinking that might have something to do with it too. So I'm drinking through it, and my throat's really dry. I've got a bit of a cold, as always. You're trying to tell me that Rika-chan's a drug addict? No, not at all. That isn't what I'm saying. It just seems strange, however you look at it, that she would bring a syringe with her on her way to get soy sauce. That's true. I have no idea what any of this means. My eyes are spinning. I feel sick. Are you alright? Should I call a nurse? I'm fine. Please continue. Well, that's all I had to say about the syringe. It was the only thing that personally struck me as interesting. Rika-chan. Rika-san was sort of like the village mascot after all. Looks like the village is in an uproar right now. Between the older blind believers and the Sonzaki family who killed her. The three families' effective control of the village is basically in shambles too. If someone came up to them with talk of a dam again, with this sort of timing, the entire village would be abandoned for sure this time. I'm not related to Hinamizawa anymore. I actually was. I just said it because the thought about Hinamizawa being abandoned was unpleasant. I wanted to end the conversation quickly. There was a knock at the door. It opened slightly and my mom asked if we were still talking. Whoops. Went off topic, didn't we? What a pickle. I looked at the clock. 5 minutes were long past. He told my mother that there was something he really wanted to ask, if she could wait a little bit longer. Is that so? Keep it short, okay? There wasn't any getting around the fact that she was thinking about what a police officer could be talking to her son about. It's pretty obvious, isn't it? The stabbing, probably, you'd think. Maybe we should choose another day for this. Oshi-san? Mion, how is she right now? I wanted to just hear that answer and then get rid of him. Before I tell you that, I just need one more thing from you. Just need you to answer something in all honesty. What is it? I want you to take your answer seriously, got it? If you say something indiscreet, it could be viewed as an obstruction of the investigation and you could be prosecuted. Ushi-san kept threatening me until the end. What the hell did he want? Okay, what's the question? Come on. My Bao-san, who do you think the criminal was who pushed Shion from the balcony? There's no way it could be anyone but Mion, is there? Then who was the one who stabbed you? Please don't make me say it again. It was Mion. Mion Sonozaki. Ushi-san smiled bitterly and dabbed at his forehead with a handkerchief to wipe his sweat. He should have expected that answer, and yet it looked as though he wasn't satisfied with it. She pushed Shion and stabbed me. Didn't you just admit yourself that Mion was the criminal? The evidence we have that Mion killed Shion is based on testimony from the man living next door. This neighbor is actually a member of an organized crime group. In other words, he was Shion-san's bodyguard. It seems he's a veteran leader in that vein, and was like a parent to the Sonzaki sisters growing up. That man said this. The noise he heard from next door was just like the sound of a fight between the sisters that he was used to hearing when they still lived together. And no, there's no doubt about it. He said he heard Mion and Shion insulting each other and heard them struggling. At first though, he thought it was a hallucination she was having, brought on by her dementia. You see, he thought that because that sort of ruckus had been occurring every night. However, that night had been longer than the rest, and he claimed that he went to her room to give her a sedative. The noise died down while he got the manager to give him the key. He'd already decided he'd at least check up on her, and after she wasn't answering his calls, they took the plunge and unlocked the door. Then they saw that the room was a mess. Since Shion had been pushed over the balcony, they decided it had to have been Mion. And that's how it happened. In other words, he only heard from the other side of the wall. Plus, because the apartment complex is connected to their organization, it doesn't have many residents, so they were the only ones who heard it happening. To reiterate, there was only one person who witnessed Mion Sonozaki. Even if he didn't see her, isn't it obviously Mion's doing? Now, settle down. This is what I'm saying. It means you were the only one who saw Mion Sonozaki for sure last night. After all, Shion-san, the other witness, is no longer alive. What are you trying to say? I don't really understand. At that point, Ushi-san paused. The fact that this was a no-smoking area completely slipped his mind, and he took out his pack of cigarettes again. Ka-chak! He lit one with his lighter, and exhaled a long stream of tobacco smoke. I was going to smoke now then. We really stabbed by Mion. Yes. There's no doubt about it. The smoke Ushi-san breathed out floated away, like a thundercloud swept away by the wind. Ushi-san, you can't smoke in here. The nurses will get mad. Actually, we found Mion Sonozaki at the bottom of the well too. Oh, she died in the well. What? She fell to her death. We believe that as she was trying to escape to that hidden passage in the well, her foot slipped while climbing down the ladder. She fell to the bottom, broke her neck, and died. Yes, the same way as Shion-san. She broke her neck. Well, What? After you passed out that day, Mion Sanzaki tried to escape using the hidden well, but her foot slipped and she died. As if beckoned by the corpses of the other sacrifices, she dropped down there. But we saw it was Mion, didn't we? In the little bit at the end. But that doesn't make any sense, does it? The autopsy came to the conclusion that she definitely died on that day. She didn't go back there after attacking you and Shion-san. She was already dead by then. My jaw was on the floor. There was absolutely no way that could be. Mion was the one that stabbed me. It had to have been her. There wouldn't have been anyone else to do it. Then, who attacked Shion and me? Who was it? The one who attacked you was someone who was Mion Sanzaki, and yet was not Mion. My mind had become a complete mess, and I was starting to lose my ability to think straight. Do you remember how Mayo Takano-san died? Eh? Takano-san? Ah, yes. I think I heard that she was burnt to death in some distant mountains. We learned that she was burned after being strangled to death. The Gifu station did the autopsy. It's a little bit strange. The results of the preliminary autopsy said that she had been dead for at least 24 hours. Since that was contradictory, in their panic they seemed to have revised it to say she died earlier that day. Despite me being an absolute wreck over what was going on with Mion, he was telling me there was even more on top of that. I didn't understand the complex things Uishi-san was telling me. The results saying she had been dead for 24 hours as her own old criminologist says. It's pretty damn reliable. So then what would that mean? I've asked the question over and over, but on the night of Watanagashi, you were with Mayo Takano-san, weren't you? I was. You also met her on the day before, while setting up for the festival, right? I mean, I ran into her too. Yes, I was with her then. If she'd been dead for 24 hours, then that would mean she was already dead the day before the festival. So that's two people that should have been dead when Keiichi met them. That can't be. She was alive during the festival preparations. However, when you all slipped into the ritual storehouse, Takano-san was already dead. The origin of all that happened. The beginning of everything. Our intrusion in the ritual storehouse, which I had come to regret countless times. The one who tempted me, Takano-san. When she invited us into the storehouse, she was already no longer of this world. There are too many dead people walking around in this incident. An incident caused by a dead person, and ended by a dead person. Also, apparently they're under pressure to revise the time of Mion's death, not to the day of the incident, but to right after she stabbed you. Probably pressure from the outside to get this incident wrapped up already, so I'd appreciate it if you didn't say a word about this to anyone. Ushi-san grabbed his jacket that was hanging on the chair, but put out the cigarette with the bottom of his foot and started pretending to wave away the smoke floating around. I've stayed too long. I'd come here thinking I could at least end this incident as it applied to you, but it looks like it got even more baffling instead. Absent-mindedly, he walked towards the door, looking at me, unable to speak, out of the corner of his eye. If it so happens that something comes up you want to talk about in the future, call me any time. My business card is in those souvenirs from before. When that time comes, I'll pay you a visit with some wonderful souvenirs again. Ushi-san seemed to think I was still holding something. That I, after all this, would be hiding something? I'm the one things are being hidden from. I'm the one who wants to know. Then let us meet again one day. Take care of yourself. Slam. I listened to the tap-tap-tap of Uishi-san walking down the hallway. I still couldn't return from my state of bewilderment. He wanted to end this incident as it applied to me? What was over? Nothing was over. The incident was still continuing. Oh. Then slip, an arm covered in fresh blood, came out from underneath the bed. I wasn't that surprised. This was an illusion I was seeing, seized with fear. Kai-chan, I told you, remember? I heard a guttural voice coming from under the bed. I still recognized it as Mion's voice. What, Mion? What did you tell me? I warned you on that day. After today, if you see me, it will be the demon that has possessed my body. You did. You said that, didn't you? Sorry. Guess I wasn't careful enough. That's why I got stabbed. Possibly wounds sustained when she fell from the ladder. Many of her fingernails were broken and torn. Her arm slowly felt about on top of the bed, searching for mine. Oh, hey, Mion. I thought of a good joke. Want to hear it? The Mion under the bed didn't answer. Let's say that I died here today. But tomorrow I'd still be here, living a normal life. So, when Oishi-san learned about it afterwards, the time of death wouldn't make sense once again. He'd make a huge deal about how someone who should have died was alive, and he'd totally lose his head. Takano-san, then Mion, and then me third. So? Funny, right? Makes you laugh, doesn't it? Even Keiichi's going a bit mad. Kei-chan. Laugh. Or was it not that funny? Mion's blood-stained hand groped around and found my wrist. Though her fingernails were torn, she gripped it hard as if scratching me. Ow! Go easy. It hurts. Kei-chan. I've come for you. I tried to shake my wrist loose, but the strength she held it with was unbelievable, and I couldn't. She was only gripping one wrist, and yet my whole body wouldn't move. I couldn't even twitch. My fingers were spread apart, and I couldn't make a fist either. And that fact that I couldn't make a fist reminded me of the restraining table. Oh, I felt a crooked nail press against my left pinky fingertip. Mion's forehead was split open, and with her face covered with blood, she smiled, and got right up in front of my nose. Nothing was over. Nothing was over. This incident was far from being over. It was still going on. It was still happening. Someone please end this incident. This cruel, tragic, unfortunate, sad incident. Please end it. That is my only wish. I granted you one. Before, remember? You don't get any more. Mion firmly held the nail down on my fingertip, and with her other hand she slowly swung a mallet up into the air and... Oh, he finally got it. Oh! Good end. That's how it ended in the anime, pretty much. So that's the second arc come to an end, Watanagashi. New scenario has been unlocked. All cast review session... Right, so that's the aftermath thing that was in the first arc as well, where the characters all come back and talk to you and give their different theories of the arc and stuff like that. The last nail. And that's how we get the last achievement too, watching that thing. So, this has been GreenyXI. Hope you've enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again in a bit when we go for the bonus. I call it a bonus episode. It won't be a bonus episode. It'll be a proper one, because the theories and stuff they give you in those things, they're really good. They're really handy if you're trying to figure it out for yourself. They really give you some hints without telling you directly exactly what's going on. That's for the answer arcs. I can see another question arc coming. I can see these games being released in all the question arcs and then all the answer arcs, because I think that's how they were released in the first place, and in the anime, and in the manga, so probably anyway. Anyway, once again, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again in a bit, folks.